We saw, we heard the packaging, the movement or the journey of packaging, storage, transport, handling, everything we saw. We saw the improvements in industry through automation. I was waiting for the quality, the special focus on quality. And when we talk about quality, I remember my first lecture in first year B.Pharm, where we had a pharmacology class and we were given a definition, first ever definition. What is blood? Blood is a liquid connective tissue. In this one line, you can understand the importance of blood in the body. We have all the organs, but it becomes body only when there is a connectivity through blood. The same thing is true for quality. When I came to industry, I used this definition that quality is the liquid connective tissue of pharma industry. Now, when we talk about packaging, in last 33 years in pharma industry, I've seen the definition changing about the packaging. And the first ever definition which I learned was, it's all about the aesthetics and brand imaging. It creates the first impression in the customer's mind, that's packaging. Then it changed a little bit that it protects the product. Then it changed a little bit that it gives you both the imaging as well as the protection to the product. But the true sense, the packaging gives a complete protection of the product quality until the shelf life. And that is why it is very, very important. When we talk about the packaging, the first and foremost is the quality control, which comes of the quality control of the input materials. Apart from input materials, there are 4 more important points where the quality is impacted: machine, men, the process, and facility. So all these things where the quality gets impacted, and it becomes the integral part of process control. Mr. Gautam Buddha is going to deal with this subject in detail. The second part is, when we talk about, again, quality, quality is not something like a material or ingredient that you buy at any cost. You buy a few kgs of quality and put that in your product and it becomes a quality product. It cannot happen. If you want to make your son a doctor, you just can't buy some medicines and put it inside him and make him a doctor. It has to be built through the training, throughout his life cycle, then only he can become a doctor. The same thing is true for quality. You can't add quality to any product at any stage of life cycle. It has to be built into the design. And this concept today we call as quality by design. Mr. Chandi Prasad is going to deal this in detail, that what is the relevance of quality by design. Actually, this is not a very new term, but we are using it for last about a decade in industry, and many of us have started practicing this approach in development and design. It gives you more information about your product. It makes quality as an integral part right from the design. It improves your process through automation and inbuilt controls. In this case, what we call it, it's a later part of QBD, which we call it PAT, where the automation not only gives you the indication, not only gives you the alarms, but it controls your process. So all that will be dealt by Mr. Chandi Prasad. I would like all of you to pay attention, although it's the fag end of the day. Perhaps all of you are tired, but this is a very important aspect of the whole conclave. Now I'm giving the dais over to Mr. Gautam Buddha.
Thank you, sir. Basic, first one. Good evening, all of you. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Shashank. So far, we are listening from the afternoon about the high speeds, the automation, the quality. So as you all know, that pharma business is highly regulated business, because we are doing the pharma business is to do with the safeguarding the health of the people. And we are also exporting from India to many countries our pharmaceutical products. Dr. Dev has already mentioned about this. And if you read in the recent 2-3 days back, Pharmexil has given a statement that India's pharmaceutical exports are touching 1 lakh crores rupees. And last year it was 90,000, this year is 1 lakh crores. And then by 2018, it will be going to be 1.5 lakh crore rupees for the exports, both formulation and API put together. So that's the kind of, it's a good news for us, for the pharma industry from the India. And then there is another statistics, what they say is the API exports is the second largest in the world from India in terms of volume business. And in every country, we are exporting to almost all over the globe, 20 to 50%, depending on the country. The Indian pharmaceutical medicines are available on the counter. So that is another proud feeling we all should have. And it's a very noble business this is, because we are doing with we are improving the health of the people in any country. At the same time, we also hear a lot of the product recalls or the quality complaints from Indian market. In the newspapers we do read. So it's, again, the qualities has to be maintained for these products. It is not only the manufacturer which is going to influence the total quality, the partners. It's a packaging material partners who are going to manufacturers and the pharmaceutical manufacturers. They have to do work together to build the quality of the medicines. So that's why there are good manufacturing practices which have come up. They are not only the specification or the quality standards of the medicine, if it meets like a pharmacopoeia standard or a standard built up by the particular country. If we meet only those standards, it's not sufficient. We also need to have a good manufacturing practices to control the quality of the products. GMP guidelines are not any prescriptive instructions, or they are not a method of process manufacturing. These are the guiding principles which every manufacturer has to follow so that the quality of the medicine is ensured. I'll take you through a few slides. Another thing I want to bring in here is that we are also dealing with a high volume products, at the same time low volume products also. And we are also dependent on small partners who are making a lot of packaging materials which are used in the pharma industry, which are not fully automated, which are not of high level. So we also need to take care of the GMP for those manufacturing units, which will also have a binding on the overall product. Coming to this pharmaceutical, highly regulated, as I mentioned to you, because it's dealing with the health of the people, naturally each country is very much concerned that whatever is coming into their country should not harm the people there. So it should be a quality product. It safeguards the health. need to comply to pharmacopoeia standards which are laid down, whether it's in India or USP or BP, JP, any country. And comply with the audits is another thing that we need to meet, regular audits from the different countries. Overcome intellectual property barriers. Pharma business, again, there is a lot of intellectual property barriers are there. Then must comply with the CGMP guidelines. Even if we meet the standards, all above standards, we have to meet the GMP guidelines. If you see the Ranbaxy history, what has happened, it's not the quality of product which is inferior, the quality of the product is okay, but there is some lacuna on some documentation. That's why they are finding the problem. So what are the issues if we don't follow the GMP? We have a product recalls. Off and on, we see that there is a product recall, not only in India, even the overseas, the multinationals also, we find that there are product recalls. There are mix-ups. Because of wrong labeling, probably there are no proper controls are there. That's where the automatic control will help us in that. So because of wrong labeling, there could be issue of a 4 mg label can go on a particular 8 mg and another higher strength bottle. So these kind of things can happen because of the bad packaging design, or the proper controls are not there, or detection system scanners are not employed properly. Foreign matter, another thing is a big problem. Foreign matter, the dust particles or insects which are coming up in the smaller units, like a cap manufacturer or a corrugated box manufacturer or a carton manufacturer, which are the micro or medium scale manufacturers. They do not have the automation fully. They do not have all the systems. So, but they also play a major role in the quality of the medicine. Contamination, if they are not aware of the contamination, what can happen, what can harm it can cause, they may not be knowing this. So we need to educate and then do the audit and get a good quality product. Productivity loss, if it is not a quality product, it is not manufactured as per the required specifications, again there is a productivity loss. Off and on, we have to stop the line, and there are a lot of rejects will be generated in that. So a lot of wastage will be there. Loss of image, if the bad product has gone and then there is a recall frequently, there is a loss of image of the company. Naturally, it speaks on the impact on the profit. So reasons, what could be the reasons are improper GMP at manufacturing. So I am talking of the micro, small and medium units which do not have the proper GMP conditions as of now. So we need to go along with them and then educate them and get a good quality product in that. Or improper GMP at material manufacturer who is supplying a cap or a shipper or a carton. Improper handling in transportation, though they may take all the precautions in the manufacturing, but during transportation, if they don't take precautions, that also can have a problem. Inadequacy in specification, which is given by the manufacturing company. Our packaging design is not like a label mix-up, what I told you, unless there is a different color scheme, different identification marks, or barcodes where we can easily scan and separate out. If the design is not faulty, if all these things are not built into the design, then also we can have problems. So attitude in the past, I'm telling you, now people are improving, a lot of knowledge they're also gaining, and then the pharmaceutical companies are also educating them. And it's a good thing, which is, there is a progress. But in the past, the attitude was the subjectivity, a lot of subjectivity. They used to say, our operator is experienced, he's having 10 years experience or 15 years experience, and focus on output than GMP. They used to concentrate, take a quality can happen, but the productivity is important. Multitasking, the same person will do a lot of jobs, so naturally he will do some mistakes in that. Or it's costly. They say to employ the automation or to follow the GMP, they used to feel that it's costly affair and there is no reward or returns in price. Even if they follow GMP, is it really going to pay a price for them? Is it benefit to them? That kind of questions were there, but now thank to the industry, now they are improving about this. So when we go to audits, we also see all these points, the quality, packaging development, and the supply chain department. Manufacturing site, it should be non-polluted, or it should be away from any dust creating manufacturing unit, or good ventilation should be there, clean surroundings are required, free from dust and cobwebs. We also found in some of the foil rolls, some insects entrapped into that, like mosquitoes, These kind of things, if we find that on the line, we have to stop the machine and reject the whole consignment. So it's a loss to us also, then there is a changeover to another product. So it's a loss to them as well as loss to the manufacturer also. Controlled environmental conditions, wherever which operations require, or processes may require some controlled environmental conditions. Insecticutors they have to employ, prevention from rodents, insects, housekeeping and cleaning procedures they need to employ this, and proper material movement. There should not be any zigzag movement so that there could be some mix-ups. Personal hygiene is another important thing, proper gowning, including headgear. Everybody has to wear. A lot of hair fall can be there in the manufacturing, in the packaging components. Disinfectant wash, they should have safety shoes, we should provide them, and locker storage for their personal belongings. Otherwise, they keep on their personal belongings also, which can come into the packaging material. The health of the patient also is very important, otherwise it will contaminate the product. And normally they don't have a separate eating areas and all, they do in the same place where they pack some eating. That can also contaminate. Food is one of the best contaminating agent. So equipment, each machine shall be labeled, sufficient space between the walls and the equipment because to have the cleaning or maintenance, and operating instructions should be there in the local language so that they understand. Preventive maintenance should be encouraged. Safety precautions should be given to them, and separate storage for change parts, plates, tools, and machine log should be maintained. Storage well protected, and segregation for quarantine, approved, rejected. We don't find these kind of things because they don't have storage space, they keep everything in one place only. So there is definitely a mix-up can happen in this. So receipt, storage and issuance procedures, FIFO, LIFO, normally FIFO system is followed in the pharma. Avoid mix-up in the storage area, and waste rejects disposal procedure should be there. So certain minimum GMP guidelines they need to follow. Manufacturing process, line clearance is very important, which they may not follow this. It's very, very important to avoid any mix-up. Operating instructions of each machine should be tagged against the machine. Batch manufacturing procedure, bill of materials, process controls, process validation, whatever best they can do, it need not be at a high level. And defects display, which is the best way so that they can identify and then stop the line and identify those defects. Reporting any kind of issue instead of doing at the batch and is another important aspect. Testing, they need to test the incoming materials. Many a time they don't test, they say they don't have any equipment, or the supplier like ITC or a big company, they don't listen to them, but still they need to test the material and then keep aside if there is any defective material. In-process samples to be tested, finished goods. The way we test the incoming material, they should follow the finished goods for their testing. Equipment should be, sufficient equipment should be there, calibration, standards and test procedures. Documentation, written procedure should be available, SOPs and STPs. In their language, in a simple language and simple way, they should employ these things. Job card, batch record, job description should be there so that role clarity is there, what the person need to do. Deviation should be recorded, change controls. Again, not an elaborate procedure, but at least to their understanding. And review the procedures. Training, skill development is another important thing. On-job training for them, the operators. Skill enhancement, timely need to be done. SOPs and STPs should be trained, safety training should be given, first aid training should be given, and assessment record. All this will help the operator not to go by subjectivity. He will have a good training on the machine and he will do a very good job. So the output also will be excellent. Complaint handling is another important thing. They should not neglect any complaints if they come. They need to record that complaint. It's a good opportunity to improve the overall quality. It's an investigation should happen, and senior management should take it serious. The corrective and preventive actions they should list out, and process system improvement can happen once they record the thing and do the investigation and review frequently. This kind. Then internal audits at their level, the competent personnel, and there should be some schedule, maybe 6 months, 3 months. Report should be generated, action plan they should have it, and then review that. So end result, by doing all this, there is no subjectivity that will not depend on the only person capability. Systematic approach will be there if they have got SOPs, STPs. Consistency in production will achieve. Minimum rejects will be there. Overall quality will improve. So it improves the health of the enterprise and health of the patients. Thank you.
Industry is still in this condition. It's a little depressing hearing you. I can say that the auto industry, the small suppliers are in a much better shape. And I must say that the auto majors have played a much better role with their suppliers. This is depressing.
They are improving, but still the GMP standards of the international standards are at one level, whereas the small and micro manufacturers are still at some level. So we need to go along with them and have a good journey and safe journey. Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today what we hear in the pharmaceutical industry, one of the points what is mentioned there is hygiene or CGMP or GMP.
Yes.
Those we have been hearing from a long time. I mean, I'm not talking only packaging, but as an industry. Okay. Now, most of these large companies depend on exports to US. And it is the US regulatory bodies, ultimately, what they deliver, the opinion, is a true litmus, indication how the industry is running. Even though for the last so many years we are talking about the process controls, we are talking about GMP, we are talking about CGMP. I mean, this questioning is not, this indication is not necessarily for packaging, and I'm talking about the general pharmaceutical industry itself, and packaging is a part of it. Why there are no controls on this, and then it goes haywire every time there is an inspection, and somebody finds urinals running next to an injectable plant, and then systems are, somebody makes a note on a chit and then throws it out in the dustbin. I mean, if you go to the site of the FDA, the kind of problems in terms of systems, in terms of regulatory, and in terms of, CGMPs, GMPs, and mainly I'm saying we are hit. We are hit so much, the industry itself is in, jeopardy. Can you throw some light on that? In your recent times, is there any solution for it?
No, you are talking about the pharmaceutical companies also facing this problem, though we are exporting to US and all the advanced
I'm only talking about pharmaceutical industry as packaging, we running whatever we are doing. I'm saying you will be doing and I'll be doing the same thing probably. But my question is that, when we are focusing, the whole country says there are two industries which really, they are proud of. Number one is IT, number two is pharmaceutical industry. And the rest are all running along, piggy wing. But within that, I'm saying pharmaceutical industry is going through, this kind of problem. Don't you think that we are going to face a hard time in time to come? After every inspection, if there is going to be a pointer that you are not meeting the requirement, and here we are in a conclave, saying that these are all the systems we are supposed to follow, and this is a CGMP, this is a GMP. That's my question in general, I'm saying, not necessarily to you, but in general. What is it we need to do is a question.
One is the mindset, second is the pressures, the production pressure, or they want to come faster growth could be one of the reason. Because there is a long time from manufacturing or from ANDA approval or filing to ANDA, then getting the approval, then the marketing the product. So they are in the race, all of them are in the race, and there is a price pressure from the market always.
No, actually what I was coming to is that within the company, when the company faces the problem, they discuss, they try to find out solution, Sometimes the companies get closed and then they are opened after rectifications and all that. Can we have some sort of a conclaves like this, where the pharmaceutical industry or pharmaceutical packaging problems or any of those problems which are related to, can we have some sort of conclave by where you can also contribute, not necessarily, on an individual company level, but for the field itself? Because if the name itself is going to be a scary thing, the Indian pharmaceutical industry is going to face problems more and more. I mean, this is in the interest of the industry,
Yeah, I agree.
not as a criticism or anything like that.
I would like to reflect to your question. I'll give you one example from our routine life. About 50 years back, we never had so many road accidents because we had the kind of transports like bullock carts or comparable speed, some four-wheelers. And the road conditions were like that they could never speed up. Then there is a change, and we could have a good vehicles, the faster speed, the vehicles with the faster pace and good machines. But the road conditions were bad. So we started getting those road accidents. Then the road conditions improved. Now we have good vehicles, good roads, and the accidents are numerous because we don't have our proper internal right signaling systems or the controls. Now, if you apply the same thing to industry, it works absolutely, or it applies absolutely in similar fashion. We have extremely good machines, we have the right quality of people, we have the right quality of knowledge, but as Mr. Harvinder also said, touched upon that point very clearly, we have, because of these exports and because of these requirements, there is a, you can say, burst of the quantities. The companies which were producing, say, 100 million, they started producing 100 times more. Now, this started creating a disproportionate load on the infrastructure. We talked about the same thing, that we have best possible compression machines, but not compatible packaging machines. And that is how we started getting more market complaints on that. I'll give you my practical example. I was working for a company which had glass bottles in IV fluids in glass bottles. And we used to get market complaints, we used to get rejections, we used to get breakages complaints and all those things. For not only this, but for many other reasons, we wanted to go to the bottle pack, the Romilag machines, and we started working on that. To our surprise, after installation, after qualification, after everything, like Mr. Das Gupta gave that example of Japanese cement bags. We had more market complaints, more breakages when we had the unbreakable bottles or P or PP bottles. When I, as a quality head, went into the market, I saw the coolies standing on the boxes, throwing the boxes because it contained the unbreakable bottles. The stacking which was decided for 8 stacks or 10 stacks, they used to stack in the warehouses 25 stacks. On the other side, in the plant, the specs changed for the corrugated boxes. We kept on making stronger and stronger boxes for the glass bottles. It was suddenly reduced to 3-ply because it contained the unbreakable bottles, and the strapping which made it further convenient to throw the box. So all such kind of conditions, but mainly the disproportionate load on infrastructure is causing. If you look at all these problems, they are not concentrated only in India. If you look at what happened to Sandoz, the same kind of observations, no SOPs, no validations. The product was in market for 5 years, metoprolol. and the plant was closed. If you look at the Eli Lilly, they had the consent decree 10 years back, and the company was closed. After they complied with everything, the company restarted. The same thing happened with Warner Lambert. Same issue. So whenever there is a disproportionate load on infrastructure, these kind of things happen. In our country, it is happening currently because our regulations, as Gautam said, they are worried about the micro manufacturers, from that to companies of Ranbaxy size. Another thing is the compliance. If you look at all these episodes which are happening, it's not the end product quality, they are all compliance issue. And mainly compliance issues because of two major reasons. One is, which I said, disproportionate load and more of manual procedures. Now slowly people are transforming or transferring from manual to automated, but as Harvinder said, if you do it in isolation, somebody calls him and tells him that your machine is working at 120, why can't you make it 300? Because I want to pack so many bottles. And if that is done in isolation without synchronization or without proper alignment, we'll end up into different problems. So these are various reasons, and perhaps we may have to travel some more miles to come to that level of expectations. As rightly you said, we are discussing with many, with the regulatory agencies, with industry, that we should have a conclave on compliance, especially compliance. So perhaps something may come up out of it.
Doctor, hello. Yeah, I'll just quickly, I'll finish.
Yes, sorry. I have a comment here to make that the topic is on MSME. So I totally agree with what Mr. Gautam Buddha had said, that they are still to reach that stage.
Yeah.
So this would probably answer what Mr. Dev. So the focus is on MSME. So I totally agree with Mr. Gautam Buddha that they still have to get to that level. And secondly, I also agree with him that when he says that we do not have the mindset, that quality culture is somewhat lacking, and it is lacking at the very top. So that has to be taken care of. And of course, the second thing, also I agree with him, when he says that it was, just to produce more, to meet probably the inflated demand or the actual demand. So I think he has put it very succinctly in the proper way. So I totally agree with him. Thank you.
Thanks. My observation is only not as a criticism towards a pharmaceutical or what has been presented. I'm just addressing an issue that how we can come out through some more efforts from our body to have a conclave. That is the reason why I was mentioning. The other thing I'm saying, whatever may be our reasons here, once you aim at a particular market and you don't meet that market requirements in that given time, they will penalize. And there it's merciless. Our reasoning can be any. And today what we are facing is that. So I was only mentioning because whether we can have some more efforts from our body. That's the reason I was mentioning. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to discuss on quality by design. In fact, this quality by design is the concept and the guidance by US FDA, mainly focusing on process development of the product. But it do mention about packaging. and the auditors are expecting the whatever the information on packaging which we are giving as part of ANDA, also based on these QVD principles. So my venture is to apply quality by design to packaging and how we can improve on a systemic approach and getting good results, thereby reducing the reviews and remarks and rush in the end of the ANDA approvals. So this is the picture that is officially given in US FDA guidance on quality by design. So if you see, everything is interlinked and everything rotates, and we have to go around this, and it is indicating a life cycle process. We have to start from place, we have to end from there, again we have to start and end, and it's a continuous process. And the very basic principle of quality by design is that if a product is introduced and by say one batch of exhibit batch or 3 batches of exhibit batch or 3 batches of validation batches, no one is agreeing that your process is robust. Just by doing 3 batches, nobody in the world can say my process is robust. It has to be continuously monitored till you withdraw the product. So going into this, what is QVD? Actually, there are principles of process development which all pharmaceutical FRD maintains, do. They have the lot of experiments, they have the process evaluation, process validation, process optimization, they do lot of batches, they do with the design, they document, they analyze. But why this quality by design is to link, not to miss, to link and to put it in a systematic way so that there is a focus, there is no lose of focus, and thereby we understanding the totality of the product, its uses, its intended uses, and while it is giving the therapeutic value, it doesn't harm the patient. So it is a scientific, risk-based, holistic and proactive approach of pharmaceutical development. Deliberate design effort from product conception through commercialization, and full understanding of how product attributes and process related to product performance. So basically, it is designed like the target product profile, then quality, the critical quality attributes, risk assessment, design space, control strategy, continual improvement. So if you just first concentrate on the target product profile, automatically the other things sets in. So the quality target product profile is the summary of quality characteristics to ensure desired quality, considering the safety and efficacy of the drug product. So its intended use in clinical setting, route of administration, dosage form and delivery systems. Then also the quality target profile should be on the dosage strength, container closure system, then the drug product quality criteria such as sterility, purity, stability, and drug release appropriate for the drug product. So I am skipping the remaining, these are all the definitions. It is only a piece of information. Either you can go to the guidance or you can see this presentation after some time. So I am going to the application to the packaging development, how quality by design can be applied to packaging development. So if you see the quality target product profile, first you have to consider the product, its therapeutic effect, its uses, which population will use. Is it predominantly pediatric, or is it predominantly geriatric, or it is complete? Even from a 5-year child to 80-year-old can use it. So that we have to consider. Then you have to consider what is the dosing systems if it is required, and what is the role of primary packaging interaction with the drug product. So, a packaging technologist has to understand a little bit about the product, its segmented use and the route of administration, and even how it is administered. If it is administered by a specialist or by a trained nurse, qualified nurse, or it will be used only directly by patient. So you should all think it. For example, if you take a aerosol product, actuator, which is used for asthmatic, it will be directly used for kids. So a kid cannot sophisticatedly use an actuator. He cannot fit the canister, so somebody has to help. Even if you think that parents can understand, no, a little bit of training even to parents have to be given so that they will make use properly. And if you don't use properly, the medication will not go, the therapeutic effect will not result, and the poor kid will be suffering still from the effect of the disease. So to summarize the defined quality target profile, so focus on chemical and functional aspects rather than just taking a vernier or scale, measuring the physical parameters of the packaging material. We have attained to a stage that the primary packaging material physical parameters are controlled by our vendors to the accepted quality level which we have specified in that, or they have specified to us. So what are the quality characteristics that you have to consider is that reliable and accurate, stable and dimensionally consistent, mechanically robust, protection of formulation, and patient friendly. So if you target this, then when you know the drug product profile, then you can come to the critical quality attributes of the package in total, not in piece. So when you are defining the physical, chemical and functional properties within acceptable range, each in relation to packaging operations, missionability and drug product characteristics. So the critical quality attributes you can list out. You can list out based on the dosage form, based on the package which you intended to. So you can list out what are the critical quality attributes. So for example, if you are designing a vial for a liquid parenteral dosage form, so the container closure system mainly is a vial, a stopper, a seal. Now there is a market complaint that when nurse is opening the flip up, entire seal is coming. Now suddenly you go and catch hold of that seal manufacturer, there something is wrong. Why? Maybe an interaction between the vial, the stopper and the seal would have resulted the seal coming. There is absolutely no mistake in the seal. Maybe the compatibility between the stopper and the vial is not proper. There is a tremendous pressure. It is not seen during packing, but there is a tremendous pressure either because of some hardness or defect of the stopper, or the internal diameter is not as per the requirement. So it builds in a pressure, that pressure is acted on the seal. So we have to, when we see, this we have to see. Again, if I am designed a product to the molded vial, and I have done some validation with stopper, and I am changing it from a molded vial to a tubular vial, and assuming that the neck diameters are same and there will not be any effect. But if you see the contour inside the neck where the stopper fixes, it totally differs from a molded vial to a tubular vial. So these kind of intricacies have to be studied and please list out. And it doesn't require any big rocket science, it is just common sense. Pyramids are constructed only on common sense. No technology, no one studied or no one graduated. And the pyramids are still is a mystery and it is giving food to doctorates. So apply common sense and list out. And then risk assessment. Even when we develop the design, there are always risks. There are risks because of the variabilities. There are risks because of the process by the packaging material compositions, and it will depend on the intricacy of the, again, I am telling you about the dosage form. Like there are inert packaging materials which do not interact, but there is a active packaging components, and the dosage form is also active, like rubber stopper versus the formulation, which is very, very, very critical. If you are filling a solid dosage form into a HDP container, it's not, there will not be much interaction between that. But when you are making a PFS or something like, or aerosols and all, you should be very, very careful. And when risk assessment is done, then you prepare a design space, define physical, chemical and functional properties within acceptable range, each in relation to packaging parameters, machinability and drug product characteristics. List and perform design experiments. You can use tools like fishbone, turret or whatever these things. So in understanding the design space, to a packaging technologist, it may sound very odd. So just observe the FR&D chemists how they are doing. Take a leaf from them and apply to your packaging, and you can definitely get a design space, because the design space will ensure that whatever the process deviations you will observe in supply to supply or to mission, this all can be covered, and you ensure that in the design space, you can ensure that even the variations, your product performance or your package performance will be same. And control strategy defines set controls that ensure packaging performance. So considering attributes of packaging components, packaging process parameters, challenges and in-process controls on packaging line. Establish a control strategy with combined efforts of packaging development, engineering, production and in-process quality assurance. This again is a critical point which will normally missing in the industry. Everybody goes with their own agenda and with their own direction. So unless you collaborate all this, I have to understand my production is my important customer, most important customer to a packaging technologist. So first understand that, then understand his requirements, convey to your packaging material vendors, and also take help of engineering, collaborate it, then the production people will be happy. So make agreement with vendors on specification, that is most important. And doing all this, it doesn't stop. You have to continuously monitor your products. Either you can have a software for that and getting the trend analysis and what are the changes that are happening, either in the vendor, is the technology improved or is there any material changes, all you have to monitor. So review the inputs and incorporate changes within the design space from whichever the source, because hundreds of batches will be manufactured in the packaging line. You can go there, interact it and see the trend analysis, bring it back. And if there is some changes to be done within the design space, you can do. That doesn't require any deviation or any change control. So what is QBD? It is a refined comprehensive system approach to pharmaceutical development moving to 21st century. Should move from copying from innovator pack to design with rationale for generic product with a decade of experience to Indian generic industry. This is my opinion that we have been in this field of regulated markets for last decade, and we have plenty of experience, we have plenty of expertise. I think better we shift from copying innovator, because for two reasons. The innovator price is $100 per bottle, it is just $2 for a generic player. So if you copy innovator in entire packaging, it may not be feasible, but at the same time, you have to look into the intricacies. So if you go by quality by design approach, you can always bring down the packaging cost and optimize it to the needs and to the logistics and finance. So you can evaluate various options available and select container closure system optimum for intended production safety and efficacy for dosage form. And coordinated efforts between vendor, engineering, packaging development, production, validation, and technology transfer in selection of optimization of container closure yield best results. This is most important. And again, knowledge of previous experience to be taken when a container closure system of a new product of similar dosage form you are evaluating, you can always take. Thank you. I have to rush because quality by design is a vast subject.
So, summing up this session, Gautam has covered a systematic approach in terms of quality of packaging materials for MSMI, and he covered very nicely all the aspects about the 5 focal points. In second part, the systematic approach by introducing quality by design to control the quality of packaging material, taking a clue from the farmer development, where it is very well established and the companies are using. Mr. Chandi Prasad has covered it very nicely. So with this, we end this session. The questions and answers in view of the paucity of time will be taken at the end of next sessions. Thank you.
The concept of combining packaging and supply chain management is a wonderful idea, and the program integration between the packaging and SCM, the topic selected was excellent. It was not done just like that. It was done with a brainstorming session, and which they have yielded the best results in these 2 days.
Today it has been really important for the industry to understand the importance of the whole integration of automation with the enterprise level. Apart from the topic, I really liked the whole concept of assembling the industry experts. It was a good learning experience for me. I definitely would like to come back on the next conclave too.
In fact, like before I came here, so it was I was under the impression that like it is completely packaging related or supply chain related for a specific domain or an industry. But it was really a surprise. Like it is good to know that like diversified industries were there and the speakers were eminent speakers were there. You know, so it was like a complete day. I could see that nobody left. So it was very interesting. Each session was well managed. So I think like hats off to the organizers.
And what is my takeaway from here? I think it's an education, and it's only when different elements of the supply chain actually interact and share knowledge. It's when we'll have a completely integrated product for our customers over there.